Hi everybody, sorry for that, and welcome back to Gosport Hospital Radio today. So, as you probably can all see, I'm not in the studio because I normally work from home, and yet again today I am working from home. Okay, and today what I thought I'd do is speak about how difficult it is to be a presenter on radio or hospital radio. Okay, because yesterday I spoke to our radio station director, and I said to him, because I've got an assistant, and I said to him, would you be able to write me a blog about a day in the life of a live hospital radio presenter? So that was the theory of what I wanted her to do, because obviously I don't present live shows. I don't actually do presenting anymore myself. I have presented radio shows, but I just wanted to hear what somebody else's perspective. Okay, so she wrote it. Okay, and it was actually quite an interesting read. Really well written. Okay, can't complain. And we will be putting it on our website in the coming weeks. So if you want to go and read that, okay, you can go to our website, which is www.gosporthospitalradio.co.uk. So I went reading it, and the interesting take that I got from it was this, and this is something that I've always found, and this is nothing against her or anything. One of the things that I did find was a lot of people that come to the radio station, okay, because I'm actually in charge of bringing in new people. Okay, so I get in touch to find new people. And one of the things that I've found historically over the years, probably over about the last 3 to 4 years, is a lot of people that come in have low self-confidence for whatever reason. And I'm not going to go into the reasons because there's always lots of reasons. You know, I've been known to suffer with low self-confidence, mainly because I've suffered from depression and I've suffered from anxiety over a 30-year period. Okay, so this is normally my escape route. So, and one thing that I find, and people have said this to me, and not only in the blog that was written, but when they get brought in and they have a look around the studio and all of that, and because we have 2 studios, okay, we have one studio where they can prep the music that they want to play for their actual live show, which is our Studio 2, and then we have our main studio where they actually do their live broadcasts from. Okay, and the one thing that a lot of people say is when they go in, it scares the hell out of them. Okay, for whatever reason that is, maybe it's the thought of, oh, I'm actually going to be talking to the general public. You know, it's going to be all on me. You know, they think of, you know, the likes of Radio 1. If you think of the days of Christmas, I don't know who presents Radio 1. I don't listen to Radio 1. Okay, and you've got all these radio presenters, and you can be live on the airwaves and everything. And I think, oh my God, what have I let myself in for? Okay, now, if you take that, okay, and put that to the side. So, what is the real reality? Okay, so when you come to radio, okay, and I'd look at it from a point of view of hospital radio. Now, the first thing is, you're not just going to be chucked onto the radio. Nobody gets just chucked on the radio. So there's a training regime, because most people that come to us specifically, okay, and there's been a few exceptions, okay, have no experience of radio. Okay, the only experience that they can actually generally bring is they've listened to the radio. They may listen to different types of genres of music, different eras, whether you go all the way back to the 40s and 50s, right up to modern day music. Okay, they may like rock, they may like soul, they may like the music from all your different musicals, classical, opera. Everybody is different at the end of the day. So you've got to take that into account. So for the first few weeks, maybe a month, you know, I've known people do it quicker in like a couple of weeks, they will be taught what you actually do. So they may go down the route of what I normally do, or what I used to do, which was making pre-recorded shows. And the reason why we go down that route of doing pre-recorded shows is because a lot of the time, when you're talking to people, people are used to the way that you talk. Okay, so your voice may go up and down. Me having worked in the sales industry for 20 years, as a general rule, I've learned to control my voice. The way that I'm going to talk, I might bring it down like this, or I might bring it up like that, depending on what I want to say, who I'm going to be speaking to. So one of the first things, and one of the fundamental things, and it's a sales skill at the end of the day, is tone of voice. Okay, it's learning how to speak to people and being able to control your voice dependent on what you're going to say. So that's the first skill everybody needs to learn. Okay, and that's why we do pre-recorded shows, because one of the other things that people will do when they don't actually know what they're going to be saying and go, all that type of stuff, which irritates the buggery out of people. Now, for anybody that doesn't know, all these types of videos I never do any script. Okay, there's no script, no editing, none of that rubbish. I can't be bothered with it. I ain't got the time for it. And it makes it look more authentic if it hasn't been edited. The classic example is, God, what was his name? Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk had somebody come at him before he died, back last year, saying, all you do is edit the videos to make yourself look good and make everybody else look bad. And he said, well, actually, as it happens, we don't do any editing. How it comes over is how it comes over. And that's what I actually do on here. Now, when we do have new people that come in, that's the first thing that we do, is to coach them. And we will edit it to get rid of all them ums and ahs, because it is one of those things that does annoy people. So we can actually teach them to actually practice what they're actually going to say. And if they want to go off a script, because we do have people who actually plan out everything that they're going to say, which is always a wise idea, is to actually plan out what you're going to say. Because the most boring thing, and this is one of the first things I ever got said to me, and I remember it was a guy that does our 50s and 60s show, which is our former chairman, Bob Whitbread, and he said, and he's a really good guy as well, I always used to like him, he always used to say to me, what you don't want to be doing is you have your intro, and then you may say, right, today we're going to be playing some of your classic hits from the 1980s, those songs that used to get you up in, get you on the dance floor back in the day when you was at school and everything. So, first song we're going to do today is play Michael Jackson Thriller, go straight into the song. And then that song finishes, maybe you have a jingle or an advert. Okay, and you say, right, now I'm going to play Pretty Woman by Roy Orbison. Okay, you don't want to be doing that, so you need to have a bit about the track. So these are some of the key things that you actually need to be able to do if you're going to be a radio presenter. Okay, because everybody knows what music is at the end of the day. Okay, so you need to be able to and be willing, either you know a bit about the music that you're planning on playing, or you go and do a bit of research, okay, and go down that route. Okay, but you need to always be willing to make a plan, because otherwise, if you don't, it makes you look stupid. So these are what I would say the most difficult things when it comes to radio. Okay, if you want to be a live presenter. Otherwise, from that, okay, the rest of it is basic, simple things that you get taught. You know, when it comes to actually controlling it, being able to play the music, that's all pretty simple. There's nothing difficult about it. Okay, as long as you're willing to learn, there's no reason why you can't be a success, have a good time, and have a good old jolly, and have a laugh with your actual listeners. So I hope that resolves a lot of the questions that people do ask. Okay, because these are the main questions of what people do ask me when they make inquiries. How hard is it to actually present on radio? As a general rule, it's not difficult. And to give you an example, okay, Christmas 20, well, it was 25 last year, it wasn't 25, 2023. Our former chairman came to me and said, "Do you know any kids that would like to go on the radio?" And I said to him, "Why are you asking?" He said, "What I'd love is to have some kids to come on the radio at Christmas and talk about their favourite Christmas carols." And I said, "Okay, all right, that's an interesting idea." And I said, "I do know a lot of kids because obviously I have young children. Okay, you know, my youngest son is 2. My eldest, okay, which is my stepdaughter, okay, is what, she's 24. She's 25 next month. Okay, so I have a big range for all the kids that are in my family. Okay, and I said, what I could do, and this is only an idea, and you can say no at any time. I said, what if I was to bring one of my kids in to present a show? Okay, I'll sit with him because of the rules and everything. And he presents his own Christmas show. He does all the talking. He picks what Christmas songs he wants to play and everything, and we play it on Christmas Day. Okay. He said, "Oh, that's not a bad idea." So I go home, go and speak to my eldest son. Now, my eldest son is now, he's 10 years old. So he would have been 8 at the time. And so I go and put it to my wife. And she said, "Oh, I don't know. He suffers with autism. Would he be able to do it?" So I said, "Right, let's go and speak to him." So I go and speak to my son, who was 8 at the time. He says, "Yeah, I'd love to do that. When can we go down to the studio?" I said, "All right. When school holidays come, we'll go down to the studio." So it would have probably been a half term. Okay, we'll go down to the studio. You go and pick the Christmas song, your favourite Christmas song. So pick your top 15 Christmas songs in case we haven't got them in our library, and we'll take you down to the library. I mean, not down to the library, we'll take you down to the studio, and we'll go and do it. So that's what we did. Okay. So my argument is this: if my 8-year-old son can do it, okay, who suffers with autism as well, anybody can do it. Okay. And you've got to remember, he was 8 years old at the time. Okay. And he presented his own Christmas show. Now, I did help him out a little bit with, doing the editing, because it was a pre-recorded show at the end of the day, because he was at home. Well, he wasn't at home. We were at his grandparents on Christmas Day that year, because we were in the middle of moving. And he enjoyed it. And what did everybody do? On Christmas Day, I think his show went out at about 2 o'clock on Christmas Day afternoon. Everybody sat around my mobile phone, because I had the app and everything, and listened to my son Joseph on the radio at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Christmas Day, just to listen to him doing his own show. So the reality is, it's not difficult when you get, as soon as you've learnt the basics, okay, it is very simple to do. So I hope this helps everybody out. If you do have any questions and you want to get involved in radio, whether that's commercial radio, community radio, or hospital radio, which is for the hospital and community at the end of the day, okay, you can, if you're in our local area, in the Gosport and Fareham area in Hampshire, get in touch. Okay, I will respond to you. If you're not in this particular area, what I can do, don't worry, you can still get in touch with me, but I can point you in the right direction. So what you can do is obviously get in touch with us on the website, which is www.gosporthospitalradio.co.uk. Okay, or you can go through our email address as well, which is in the description as well. But otherwise, Thanks for listening, and we'll speak to you all again a bit later.